I'm going to change my screen a little bit so that I can have my notes up.
Oh, okay, here. Okay, good afternoon, Retreat House community. I'm here with trained spiritual director, Tonya Minton, and asked her, thank you, Tonya, for joining me this afternoon.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I wanted to get together because you are beginning to offer Yoga Nidra on a regular basis at Retreat House, which is a wonderful embodied prayer practice meditation. So I wanted to find out a little bit more about your passion around yoga and this form of yoga. So I would love to start by understanding how you came into your appreciation and also your training into the yoga space.
So I have been certified as a life coach. And one of the things that I've found in the years of working with people is that they really need some help kind of slowing down and finding a way to meditate. And meditation just doesn't work the same for every person. It's so individualized. What might work for you doesn't work for the next person. And so I've kind of really made it a passion of mine to kind of help people find a way to meditate, whether that's just kind of slowing down or just helping them find something that works for them. And it seems to really, it helps with managing stress and trying to get all of their things done. It feels like we're going 150 miles an hour all the time. And Yoga Nidra is one of the ways to meditate. It's almost like a guided meditation. Um, it's this yogic practice that really combines your mind and your body. It's typically about 35 to 40 minutes, and then there's some stuff in the beginning and then some stuff after. So I said we usually just kind of carve out about an hour for the whole time. But it's this kind of gentle approach to body awareness and working compassionately with yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, and just kind of gradually leading yourself to a greater sense of awareness of yourself and maybe how you're feeling, or helping your physical body to heal. It's just really restorative. That's just one of the meditations that I teach and practice.
So I have participated in one of your Yoga Nidra offerings, and it was new to me. I have participated in yoga, but Nidra was new. I really loved it. And one of the reasons that I found it beneficial, which I think would be of interest to certain people who are watching this video, is that it's not necessarily the full range of mobility isn't necessary for someone to participate like in other forms of yoga. So I wondered if you could speak to this invitation, because to me it really is a broader invitation to participate in yoga. It doesn't
Mhm.
seem to just disclude anybody. It's more inclusive.
It is very inclusive. So Yoga Nidra is really for every person, in any age group. I've been able to do Yoga Nidra even with children, and it's just beneficial to all of these people. We usually start kind of standing and doing some intentional breathing practices, and then we lay down, and it's in Yoga Nidra language they call it making a nest. And so you get really comfortable, and I'm hoping sometime we'll get to start doing this in person, because it's a little bit different experience in person than it is online. I have made eye pillows for everybody, so that when I'm in person, and they have little like covers on them, so that each week I can take the cover off and sanitize it so that it's really safe and clean for everybody. But these little eye pillows, we put them over our eyes, and they give your eyes just a little bit of pressure that really tells your brain and releases some chemicals to tell your brain to relax, and this is time to relax. We get really comfortable, and then basically it's like an in-between state. You're not really asleep, but you're not really awake either. And it's in this this area where we're able to work on the intentions that we have for our life. And we're able to focus on our bodies and our breath and our bodily sensations and even our emotions and our thoughts. It's really allowing you to kind of access that under place of peace. It's always peace is always present to us, but sometimes it's really hard to get there when there's so much going on. So I think that's what makes this accessible to everybody. We're not doing all kinds of poses. We're not doing any, balancing exercises or stuff, which is typically what you think of when you think of yoga. But this is a really neat meditation type practice.
It makes me think about stillness. There's this real invitation to be still, which is hard to come by in our culture. So I'm excited for you to offer this. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about the core values of Retreat House. I can name them.
Mhm.
Loving kindness, which is hesed is the Greek word, brave vulnerability,
Mm,
sharing sacred story,
mm.
cultivation, and cross-pollination. And Yoga Nidra encompasses all of those.
It
We could find
does.
connections, I think. Is there one of those that stands out? I may sharing sacred story is, I know that you offer a guided meditation during it. So there's this idea or opportunity and invitation to look inward and consider one sacred story. So it's almost like you're allowing this
Mhm.
um, cultivation of stillness to be and to listen and to notice more about our sacred story and to learn about ourselves.
In fact, the stillness is really a big deal for Yoga Nidra. There's an invitation as we start the practice that you will get to yourself so comfortable that you don't have to move around anymore and to stay very still. It's almost like we're kind of like backing away from the ego part of our body just so that we can really turn inward. And there is invitation to story there, and it's an individual invitation to each participant. So I kind of guide it, and then wherever you take that is how you can bring up your story in there. I also try to spend time at the beginning, um, kind of trying to get to know people. There's different kind of practices within Yoga Nidra. And so when we start this coming this next week, we're going to start our practice. We're actually going to start in a physical, working on the physical body. And and so I'm going to actually have some conversation with the participants before we start so that I can know with, kind of what are some of the things that they might be dealing with. That way I can kind of weave that in to the script a little bit more. Studies have been done on Yoga Nidra, and it has been proven that this is a great practice for relieving your anxiety and for stress. In fact, a lot of places will use this with veterans and recovering addicts and people who are suffering from PTSD, because this really eases and adds to this emotional healing. It is also super powerful for everyday kind of stressed out people. We might not be walking around with something bigger, but we are still carrying a lot of stress with us. And so this really gives you that space to where you can connect with your body. I've had several people tell me that the only way that they can get good sleep during the week is to come and have yoga nidra. Then they feel they are able to sleep the whole rest of the week. It's very interesting how each person kind of it affects each person a little bit differently in such a positive way.
So as a spiritual director, you're bringing in an additional, oh, I can't think of the right word. Just you're bringing more as a spiritual director and weaving in your knowledge and your wisdom from that practice and your knowledge. It sounds like gathering more about each person's story and then individualizing the meditation. Um, how does this relate to spiritual direction? I mean, as that is the driving wheel of Retreat House and one of your passions, how do these two practices and just passions of yours come together in this space.
Well, when I'm listening to somebody and listening to their story and um, helping kind of see where the light is shining from, I hear a lot about how they're stressed and how they're having trouble slowing down, or um, just that struggle. And plus, we've had this crazy year, and a lot of people, I've heard them saying things like, I feel like I'm working all the time, and I'm not really doing things for self care. And so I can suggest to them and invite them to a yoga nidra, and that's like an intentional time for them to really just focus on themselves and do something that's going to feed their mind and their body, and it can be healing and restorative and renewing, and it's such a gift. And I try to remind people of that every time we have yoga nidra, that this is a gift that they're giving themselves, and to be thankful for that and for the time that they're spending.
Beautifully said, I'm appreciative of your contribution to body work and somatics and honoring the full person. And I'm excited about Yoga Nidra. Is there anything else that you would want to say to someone considering signing up for this offering?
Just that you won't be sorry. It's such a wonderful time. I Because I'm leading it, I have a little different experience with Yoga Nidra, but I walk away with all of the same gifts that everybody else does, and it just adds to my wholeness, my tranquility, my total well-being. Um, I really enjoy this practice. It's something that speaks to me where some other practices I'm not able to really connect with in a real way. And so I love getting to share this with other people.